Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Performers Pod, and it's AVN week, and I'm here with AVN nominee Roxxie, Moth. I'm so excited to talk to you. Welcome to the podcast.
I'm so happy to be here.
So, the more I look into you, I feel like we're kind of the inverse of each other because you make your entire career being a lesbian top, and I make my entire life being a lesbian bottom. So I'm just like so excited when I saw you were nominated.
What I'm hearing is we need to work together.
Yeah, I mean, that there's always time for that, but you're nominated for an AVN. Is this your first year being nominated?
So I'm always nominated in the fan awards.
Okay.
I've been nominated in both the fan voted favorite trans porn star and cam star every year that I've been in the industry.
Oh, nice.
This is my first time being nominated for an actual AVN by the panel, by the judges.
Oh, that's amazing. Congrats.
Yes.
So how many years have you been nominated now? Did you get a chance to do a whole real life one, or has it all been online?
So my very first year in the industry, I did get to go. And they put me on the cam girl carpet because I wasn't a real performer yet, because I only had the fan voted ones. I'm actually really sad there's no in-person show this year because I might get to actually be part of it.
But that's so exciting. So what are you nominated for this year?
So I'm nominated for Trans Performer of the Year.
That's huge.
my self-produced movie, Femtop 2, is nominated for Best BDSM Movie or Limited Series.
Fuck yeah. I had a trans nominated film last year for that. That's all femme. Yeah. Oh my God. Okay. I didn't even know that. That's so badass.
Yeah, so that's up for Best BDSM Movie and also Most Outrageous Sex Scene for the third scene of that movie, which I'm going to be real. I think we have the most outrageous scene on that list. I looked at those nominees, but I'm super excited for that. And also, one of the movies that I starred in is nominated for Most Clever Title as well. I played the title character in The Handjob's Tale by Nerds of Porn.
So how many AVNs are you nominated for?
4. I guess 3, but the Handjob's Tale, I'm claiming that one because I played the title character.
You're in it. If you're in it, you're like included. Because at the Grammys, if you're in something, you're in it. So yeah.
So I'm including so those 4 and then also the 2 fan voted ones. So I guess 6 total.
Oh my God. That's like fucking impressive. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Yeah, it has to be so weird with it being in the middle of all this, but I feel I don't know. I've been up for Performer of the Year before, and when they like are reading everyone's name and it's like in front of that whole ass full thing, for me, I was just like, it can't be. I'm not mentally prepared for this.
Yeah, I'm
sweaty palms.
I'm used to being in the categories that they don't even read the names for.
Yeah, that's very relatable. And then it happens for real, and then it's just like really changes it.
Yeah.
So where are you doing porn out of?
I'm currently based out of Las Vegas. I've lived here for the last 2 years. And before that, I lived in Atlanta.
Oh, nice. Yeah. That's really cool. So has like the jump, so your entire jump to Vegas has been during the pandemic then, essentially, right?
I moved to Vegas in January of 2020. So I moved like a few weeks before that AVN.
So like the last,
I got like the last normal of shooting and then COVID hit.
That's crazy. So what kind of were your biggest challenges this year shooting in the middle of the pandemic? Like I've only been on 2 sets since the pandemic started. Like, were you just finding a way to get it done essentially?
Yeah, so I've been being bad and I have actually been shooting during the pandemic. I do, I mean, everyone's required to be COVID tested kind of by the nature of how the industry is running through things. So I'm trying to just keep shooting through it because I'm not really in a position to not work. You know, I got to make money. I got to pay my bills.
Yeah, I mean, you moved across country. I would assume you moved to Vegas for porn, right?
Yeah. Yeah, that's the entire reason I moved here. And I moved here under the assumption that once I got here, I'd get enough work to cover the extra expenses. and then everything shut down. So I've kind of just had to work through it, and I've gotten so much more work since I've been here. So I definitely made the right call moving. But you know, the first few months of the pandemic, especially, I just wasn't doing anything. I stayed
Yeah.
home and just didn't even leave the house.
Yeah, I feel like it was just so much. Everyone was just like, well, indefinitely, who knows what's going to happen?
Yeah.
Maybe it's just going to return because of, oh, they're going to figure it out or something. Just truly like that AVN week in 2020. Did you do many of the events? It just felt so normal.
I went to the AVN convention long enough to do my signing at a booth, and that's it. And other than that, I was like, I don't want to get the flu. I wasn't even thinking about COVID because this was pre-COVID.
Oh, AVN flu. Yeah.
Yeah, but I like had a bunch of major shoots coming up, so I'm like, I'm not gonna get the flu. I'm just gonna go to my shoots, and I was shooting like 2 or 3 scenes a day that whole week, so that took up all my time.
Yeah, I feel like that's really what AVN has turned into now. When did you enter this industry?
I've been in the industry for a little over 3 years now.
Okay.
My first pro shoot was 3 years ago, December.
Okay. Yeah, when I my first AVN I think was 2015, and at that time it was still all studio based. So like barely anyone was shooting on their own. I feel like the last few AVNs, they're doing what most people are doing what you're doing, where you're trying to get 3 or 4 shoots during that week, you know,
Yeah,
and people just come in just for that. Like it's just
yeah.
so different now.
I like I said that whole week, like I was shooting sometimes 3 scenes a day of, and they're all scenes of me
Wow.
topping, by the way. So I was just exhausted by the end of it. And then at the very end of that week, I shot a scene for kink.com. And that was part of why I was like, I don't want to get the flu. I've got all these big shoots. I
Mm-hmm.
don't want to blow it. So I just didn't bother with the convention.
That's yeah, I don't know. I just felt so it just felt so far away, like the whole COVID thing that it wasn't even on my mind at all.
Yeah. I got COVID really early on in the pandemic too. I got it like that March. So after that, I was like, okay, I lived through it once. Like, let's just get back to work as best we can. And yeah, and I'll say the biggest thing that's changed because of COVID is I feel like I get a lot less mainstream work now. Like
Mm,
the most of the mainstream companies that I was shooting for on a regular basis have like really scaled back production due to COVID.
for sure.
So I feel like it's kind of forced me to do more self-production, which is part of why I ended up launching Femtop when I did.
But like, see, I've really become an AVN nerd over the years, and just really realizing how much it really paints a picture of our industry over literally 39 years. And
Yeah,
there's not very many things like that in the world that takes any sort of medium and takes it that seriously. That you moved during right before a pandemic, went through all that stuff, lost mainstream work, and then started producing your own stuff, and now that's up for best BDSM film. That's a fucking storyline.
I
That's
know.
amazing.
I feel like this year has probably been like one of my weaker years in terms of
Really.
mainstream work. So I was really surprised when I got all the nominations. And it's I'm pretty sure mostly just because of the BDSM site that I started. So it's been really nice, and it's been kind of validating that there are people out there who support and believe in what I do.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, this is honestly a huge year for you, and it has to be just so motivating going into this whole AVN season, even though it's solely online. And obviously the celebrations probably be very different than if it was a normal year. But like,
Yeah.
yeah, do you have any plans to watch it with people or any like watch
Um,
party things?
I don't usually do a lot of like watch party stuff. I would be down to. I just like don't have a lot of people that I would invite over for it.
Hmm.
Um, a lot of my friends in the industry are kind of also not really doing much at the moment due to COVID. So
Yeah. So how do you look at like everything going forward? Are you Do you feel like you just want to more continue doing self-production after getting all this recognition, or are you still actively seeking out mainstream stuff?
I mean, I'm always happy when I get mainstream work. Because when I'm self-producing, I have to stick to like one specific brand and one specific style of shooting for my sites.
Mhm.
So I like getting to mix it up and work for other people. And I like the extra like kind of eyes and attention that the mainstream work gets, and the upfront paycheck is nice too. So anytime I can get mainstream work, I'm always going to take it. But I
Yeah,
feel like I'm at a point where I don't really have to stress as much about who's booking me and who's not anymore, which is nice.
yeah, I feel like that's such a relief when you realize you're like, okay, I have my career. I know what I'm doing. I don't have to wait for an email or get freaked out because there's not an email there. I just feel like the whole self-producing stuff just really changed your outlook on the industry.
Yeah, yeah, that's definitely been a factor. Like I said, I'm just not really stressing anymore about like who's gonna book me and who's not, because if they book me, great. If not, I'll just use that time to shoot my own stuff and it'll be just as good.
Yeah. And I also feel like when you're self-producing, I just feel like your self comes out more, where
Yeah.
with mainstream you're still going through whoever's filter. I did like some mainstream transport stuff and they like edited all my tattoos out, and I'm like, this is a great cover, but I'm like, that's not how I look like as a person. So
There's there's a couple of scenes where like I didn't even hardly recognize myself because they like airbrushed my face so
oh
much.
my god, I hate that. That's so crazy when you first get those photos from like a mainstream transport company. At least I did, and then it was like so airbrushed, and I'm like, who is that? I don't know who that is at all. So what's like stuff got you inspired to get in the industry, and kind of what porn were you watching that influenced you to produce what you're producing?
Um, so as a teenager, I was always really interested in porn. I grew up in a really conservative household, so like I know you're not supposed to say this, but porn kind of like helped me discover myself sexually,
Yeah.
in a
So
way.
you're from Georgia originally, or were you from
Yeah,
somewhere else?
yeah,
Okay.
I'm from Georgia. I grew up a little bit north of Atlanta in a
Oh,
town
really?
called
Yeah, I
Holly
have a friend.
Springs.
Yeah, my roommate's actually from northern like Atlanta area as well, like the
Yeah,
suburbs.
yeah, a little town called Holly Springs. And my family is very religious, Baptists, like, so for me growing up, I kind of, the way I've sort of discovered myself was through porn. And I kind of grew up watching like, kink.com, like Electro Sluts, Public
Yeah.
Disgrace, like Evil Angel, like harder
Yeah.
stuff.
Can we have a moment to talk about how great Princess Donna was for Public Disgrace? It's just like some of
Yes.
the best fucking porn. I met her once and I'm just like, thank you so much. I wouldn't have my sexuality if I didn't see that shit. It's just so intense.
My first time shooting for kink.com is one of the only two times I've ever been nervous for a scene.
Yeah,
The
I
other was
used
my first time bottoming.
did you get to shoot at the armory before it closed?
No, no,
Oh,
that it closed like a year or two before I got in the industry, I
yeah,
think.
I used to work there. It's a wild just experience that like going to work is going to a castle every day.
Yeah, that I wish I could have experienced that because that would have been real nice.
Yeah, it's an experience
Yeah, that would have
for
been so
sure.
cool. But
There's just so much weird stuff with it. It's like hella haunted, and there's like cats, like so there's like cats to like control the mice and rat problem and stuff. And also there's like a river that runs through the basement. Also, it's like the most famous skate spot is out front in front of it. It's just such a weird building.
yeah, yeah, that would have been really awesome. Like I would have loved to experience shooting there.
Yeah, I feel like that Princess Donna era and like Bobby Star era of kink.com, that was like the shit. And then I worked there and they were both gone. And I'm just like,
Oh,
who are all these other people? I was here for that.
yeah. I still
So
watch a lot of the same stuff I watched as a teenager too. I feel weird watching modern porn because it's all people I know.
my trick to that is I watch a lot of Eastern European porn
Okay.
because I'm like, I work a decent amount in Europe, but it's all Western Europe. So there's like not enough crossover. So I'm like, oh, I don't know any of these girls. And it's just like all these like really mean Eastern European doms. I'm just like so
Oh
into
hell yeah. Yeah, no, when I try and watch modern porn, it's like either it's someone that I could literally like text and be like, hey, come over, let's fuck right now. And then why would I watch their porn? Or it's someone that like doesn't like me. And I'm
Oh,
like, why would I want
yeah,
to watch your
that's
porn? You know, like,
yeah, that's the thing that ruins porn for you because like you have people in the industry who you might not get along with or whatever. And then
yeah,
you'll be watching porn, you'll be like, is that that person? And then you're like, I can't watch this. This could be that person. I have way too much of that.
yeah. But I mean, yeah, like I said, I grew up watching like kink.com and a lot of like, fetish porn and harder, like hardcore
Yeah.
stuff. So,
Who were some
and,
of your
and
favorite
then
performers?
some of my favorite performers growing up. I can tell you my favorite scene. There was a scene for Public Disgrace with Krista Chaos in it that I just
Oh,
absolutely loved. I don't know if you've seen that one. They put her on the table and played beer pong with her face.
that's so fucking good.
It's so
Oh,
fun. I love that
yeah.
scene.
Their shit's just so yeah, it's a damn shame that Princess Donna's like doing really cool art right now. I don't know if you followed their art post
I
porn.
don't. I should.
Yeah, they have an Instagram account and they like just shoot all this like weird stuff around New York City with these other queers. And it's really cool and stuff, but I'm just like,
Hell
you
yeah.
should just like start your own porn site and just start fucking up girls again because it's like so good.
Yeah, like I'd be down to check it out though. Yeah,
Yeah, you should.
yeah,
Um, but yeah, so you saw a lot of that. I also
yeah.
was like into like BDSM and stuff, but for me, I felt like there was such a disconnect because I like never saw trans people in it at all.
I mean, neither did I. I didn't grow up watching trans porn.
Same.
I discovered myself in the kink world before I discovered myself in the trans world. Like I kind of alluded to before, I didn't have like the best upbringing. So when I got to college, that was like the first time I was ever allowed to like live my life in any
Hmm.
way. So my freshman year of college, I started dating someone who actually worked as a pro dom and was like just really talented and amazing and
That's
awesome. And that
that's
was
how it
my
gets you.
introduction. That was my introduction to the kink scene. And then through the kink scene, I kind of found my way into like the queer scene
Hmm.
through a little back door.
Yeah, I feel like I don't know. I came out. I was one of those people who came out. I think I was like 13 years old or some shit, and like ordered illegal hormones to take in high school and stuff. Because I don't know if you knew, but you could just order them off like random sites online and
I've
they
had
show
to do
up.
that a few times when I
Yeah.
couldn't get my prescription filled.
Yeah. So I was like doing that in high school. And I just thought I just never cared about sex. But I had all these like crazy BDSM fetishes.
Yeah.
And I had no idea that what they were until I was on like MySpace and I saw like a girl in a dog cage. I was like, oh shit. This is connecting with me for a reason really hard. Did you kind of have that too, or were you fairly like sexual before then, like fairly aware?
I didn't lose my virginity till I was 18. I was
Oh,
again
okay.
very conservative as a high schooler. So I didn't have a lot of sexual experience outside of just like what I could explore on my own solo. So I knew I
See,
was into a lot of like pain stuff just because like that's what I enjoyed when I was, masturbating or whatever. But
had
I never had the experience of like actually interacting with other people and having like kinky sex with someone else.
mine was like the opposite. I like always hated girls, and I was always out since I was like 13. So like I think I lost my virginity at like 15 or 16, but I never masturbated until I was 18. I just had like no interest in it. Just like, why would I do that? It just never even like crossed my mind.
I was a horny kid. I masturbated a lot.
I probably would have been happier if I did. If I would have found weed and masturbation in high school, I feel like so many of my problems would have been so much easier. I would have been in way less worse bands and like did that whole thing.
Yeah.
So did you start making porn in Georgia and you were like coming out what to the West Coast a bunch or
Yeah, so my first year in the industry, I was shooting in Georgia, and it got to a point by the end of that year that I was flying out to the West Coast like every month,
mm,
like clockwork. And I would be flying out to Vegas, or I'd be flying to LA or San Francisco or wherever. And I figured I should just be there. The rent in Vegas and the rent in Atlanta are not even that different. So I
yeah.
was like, I should just move there. It's basically the same cost of living, but I don't have to travel all the time.
Yeah, that has to be a nice thing where it's not a huge comparison. I moved from this small town in Michigan to San Francisco, which is like the most expensive fucking place in the world. Just
Oof.
so wild
Ugh.
how that changes where I'm like, oh, I have a shoot. This pays for 3 months of rent. And now it's like, this is half a rent. It's such a drastic change.
Yeah, I don't envy you Californians in that regard.
Yeah, it's I don't even know anymore because we can't really even do anything right now. So it's like at least I live near a dungeon. So I'm like, okay, I hypothetically can go to the dungeon in 30 minutes at any time. So that is like the
Vegas
one
doesn't
positive.
have Vegas doesn't have a lot of dungeons.
I hear it's like a thing, like there's some sort of like anti-BDSM law. Someone was telling me that. I don't
Yeah,
know if
so
that's
I don't
true.
know if this is actually like true, but this is what I've been told is
This is
that
like the level of my podcast where we're like, it might be true, it might not be though, but we're gonna let you
we're
know.
gonna Joe Rogan this.
Yeah,
So from what I understand, BDSM is actually just considered domestic violence in Vegas or in Nevada under
that's
some
so
law.
fucking crazy.
So like anything you do can be considered, you can be prosecuted for, and anyone who runs a dungeon is like liable for that. So just no one has dungeons. So like there's little fetish parties and stuff, but they're all just like run out of someone's house. And we
Yeah,
have like one swingers club and that's it.
that's so disappointing.
Yeah.
Yeah, we have like I think we have like three or four here, three or four dungeons. There's one really good one in East Oakland that we've been running a BDSM collective out of, and it's just so great. Just going in there and just shooting all femmes and just being like, okay, 4 hours later we have a movie done. So
Amazing.
yeah, I feel like for at least me finding BDSM porn and being able to be like, oh shit, I can actually get recognized for this it was just such a mind-blowing thing because I feel like I don't know if you have the same feeling as a trans woman. You're so put in this thing of like you're trans. This is your one category. This is all you can ever get.
Right. Like that that's why I started Femtop was because with the mainstream stuff, it's like they see transness as the fetish. So they don't
Mm,
want to add any more fetishes to
yeah,
it.
yeah, that's exactly it. Like honestly, when I first started working at the armory, I was like, "Oh, you should shoot trans bottoms," and they're like, "No, that's way too out there. No one would ever want any of that."
And
And it's
now it's
just so
like
wild.
just a
Yeah,
huge thing.
it's just a normal thing now. It's just like there's so much of I feel like what trans people can do in porn, I just think has changed so much over the last few years. Like
Yeah.
I think you're genuinely having stuff be as mainstream as it can get, where you're having like trans people being in whatever category essentially. Like I
Yeah.
don't think there's gonna be a female performer of the year who's trans because I think the industry would probably shit itself.
Yeah, I don't think they would be okay with that. I wish they would. I think that'd be really cool.
Yeah,
Um,
I mean, maybe sometimes some stealth trans woman with a vagina. Maybe
yeah,
the Riley
some
Reid is gonna come out and surprise all of us and just be like,
reveal that she's post-op.
yeah, that would be terrific.
I'd be down. I would be all about like that would be so cool.
Yeah.
That
Do
now
you
you've
know
got me thinking about
do
that.
you know about Drew DeVoe's work?
No.
So she's a trans woman who performed in lesbian porn. And basically, she got nominated for a scene with Sin Sage. And the director who I had on this podcast just didn't realize she was trans. So she got an AVN nomination for Best Lesbian Movie with a trans woman on the cover.
Okay. Let's
Right? Isn't that
go.
badass? And this was
That's
in like
amazing.
2011.
That's incredible.
Yeah, she's amazing. I
That's
highly
like
suggest.
boundary breaking.
Yeah,
That's so
yeah,
cool.
yeah. I highly suggest looking up Drew DeVoe. Definitely like in the whole more queer porn world than the mainstream porn world, but yeah, I definitely feel you. I just like I knew of some trans porn stars always, but the porn I got into wasn't really that. It was like Sasha Grey's porn was really big for me because I'm
I
like
loved Sasha Grey
I'm actually wearing
back
a
when I was
Sasha
a
Grey t-shirt
teenager.
right now, as you can see.
I did see that.
Yeah, endless fangirl. I have way too much Sasha Grey merch, but just seeing like that there's performers that could really push themselves and do interesting things and do hardcore things that I wanted to do and
Yeah.
still be like active in industry politics and just like having a voice. That's what really changed it for me. But that's not trying to disrespect the trans women who were making stuff before. It's just like none of that seemed like it was actually for other trans people, you know?
I kind of feel like I'm only just now allowed to have a voice in a way. Like the first couple of years of my career, I didn't want to like be too open and too forward about anything because I was like, I can't risk not getting work. I can't risk killing my career. But at this point, I'm doing so much self-production that it's like I don't really care anymore.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
that's been really freeing.
So what controversial thing do you want to say on the pod? You don't actually have to say something, but if you want to,
I
you're
don't
more
have
than welcome
anything to say right now. That's the problem.
Okay.
I'm trying to think like, what could I start? What beef could I start right now, right here? But
I mean,
I want to be nice to people.
Yeah.
I don't want to start shit for no reason.
Yeah, I think when it's the right fight, you'll know what it's for and all of that, you know?
Yeah.
So when did you kind of realize that this was more than just doing a few scenes? Like, was it really your move to Vegas that really cemented it where you're like, I'm all in on porn now?
So I always kind of wanted to do porn. When I was watching porn as a teenager, I would also like read interviews with the performers, and I would always kind of think in the back of my mind, man, if I was a girl, I could totally do that. Like, I could
That's how
totally
you
do that.
become a trans porn star, where you're like, oh, that girl looks like she's having fun. If I was that girl, I would have fun too.
Yeah,
And then
so I was
you're
like, oh, I could totally do those, like all these extreme scenes that like these other girls are like, I could totally do that. I'd be down.
Fuck
And
yeah.
then one day I realized, wait a minute, why don't I just do that? And so I had already kind of cammed a little bit, sort of as an amateur thing before I started shooting pro stuff. And I actually shot my first pro scene the day I graduated college.
Oh, wow.
I said this before on another podcast, but I drove straight from my college graduation to a friend's house, jumped in the shower, and then drove to the hotel for the shoot. And I did my makeup in the hotel bathroom, like lobby bathroom.
God.
And so basically the moment I graduated college is when I committed myself to like, okay, we're doing this full time. I started camming like really, really consistently and did that for about 2 years while I was establishing myself as a performer. So
the cam girl pipeline to porn is so good though. Like I have so many performers on like that. It really prepares you.
When I was first starting out, I wasn't getting paid work because I lived in Georgia.
Yeah.
So I would just cam to fill in the gaps and, get my name out there and build my following that way. So by the time, I got my career off the ground, I didn't really need camming anymore. But and now I don't even feel like I'd have time. Like I want to go back to camming. I just don't have the time for it. But yeah, I basically, from the moment I started shooting, I kind of knew like, this is what I'm going to do, because I had always wanted to do it anyway. And I just was waiting for the opportunity to come up.
It's so amazing that you've just like really just had that straight vision, and it's obviously worked out. I mean, look at where you are this year, like 6 AVN nominations in a year. That's some rarefied air. There's not very many people that can say that.
I know. If I win an AVN, I'm going to be super extra about it this year. This is me being more forward. Okay. So when you Google alumni from my college, one of the first names that comes up is a porn star who is retired
May I
now,
ask
but
what college?
I don't want to say yet. If I win
Okay.
something, I'm gonna say, and I'll get to that. But she is retired now, but
Can you tell me the mascot of your college?
she was only nominated for one AVN, and it was like best new starlet or whatever. And so I'm like, if I win something, they have no excuse not to put me on the alumni list. Like I should be next to her, right?
I mean, I don't know, transphobia though. Like,
Like
right?
I know,
You
but I
should
should
be.
be. I should be. Like, come on, you know.
Yeah, who's the
But
most famous person from your college?
if I
Or would that
answer
give it
that,
away?
if I answer that, it's gonna give it away.
Okay. I mean, I know of it's probably one of the two big colleges in that state, I would imagine.
There's like four, like
Oh, okay.
reasonably competitive colleges. Um, but
It's okay. You don't have to name your college.
yeah, I mean, I guess I'll go ahead and say it. I went to Kennesaw State, which
Oh,
at the time
okay.
was actually the second biggest college in Georgia.
Really?
I don't know if
Okay.
it still is.
I was
Um,
just assuming it had to be Georgia or Georgia Tech. And I'm like,
no, those are
Georgia,
the
they'll
football
take everyone.
colleges.
I'm like, they'll take any win right now. You and Stenson been on a float together if you win an AVN.
Yeah, no. Tell Kennesaw State they need to put me on the notable alumni list next to Ryan Seacrest.
Oh,
Um,
Ryan Seacrest.
Ryan fucking Seacrest. He's
Yeah.
like the him and the Extreme Makeover Home Edition guy, Ty what's his face.
Oh, that guy.
Those are like the only two celebrities that went to KSU. And I'm like, my name should be like right below them.
Yeah, I went to community college. I don't think they keep track. Any Grand Rapids Community College Raiders out there, let me know. Let me know who's the biggest star.
Yeah. No, I miss college. College was fun. I don't miss, spending money on it, but college was fun.
Yeah, I went to my first porn screening in college and then started
Okay.
doing. Yeah, I was like in a dorm room. I was a cam girl who wasn't even going to school, who was like living on campus camming. And then it was just like, oh, I guess I'm gonna get into porn now.
I think most of the people I knew from college are like aware of what I do now.
Mm.
Because like most of them just like follow me on social media at this point. So I guess I can be open about it at this
Have
point in
you
my career.
had the opportunity to like win any awards where everyone's like, oh, I know her and shit now?
I
Have you had
haven't
that
won
experience?
anything yet. That's the problem. That's
Oh,
why I'm not on the alumni list. If I win
that's gonna
something,
change
that's when
it.
I'm gonna at my college on Twitter and be like, hey, add me to the alumni list. How much do I
One
have to pay? Like,
one win changes the perspective on everything because
I
your whole family views you as, oh, you went off somewhere, you became successful, no matter the trophy. I
yeah.
won a camming trophy. I think it was in November. I had my grandma calling me crying, being like, I'm so proud of you, sweetie. I'm
My
just like, everyone
parents
was against sex work like 3 years ago, and now everyone's like, you did it.
my parents were kind of mean about it. I came out to my parents about doing porn after my first award show. I was like, hey, so I
Mm,
just wanted to let you know, like, I've been doing this full time for a year now, and I got nominated for these awards, and the show was last night. Like, I just wanted to be the one to tell you before anyone else does, because like sooner or later it's going to come up.
yeah.
And my mom was like, okay, but did you win any of them? And I'm like, no. And she's like, I told you
Oh,
you'd never be shit.
damn, that's so mean. I guess it really is different in the South. They want a winner.
Yeah, I gotta prove myself. I gotta prove that like I'm not just a failure.
Damn,
But
that's deep. Yeah, I feel like
she wasn't even mad at me for doing porn. She was
not
mad
even
at me
mad
for
about the porn
losing.
thing. Yeah, my partner and I've been dating for like 4 years, and before this last award I went to, her mom said to me like, "You have to win this." I'm like, "What?" I'm like, "How is this pressure being put from other people who like don't even know onto you?" It's a really weird thing.
I am not the arbiter of who gets which awards. I'm just happy to be nominated.
Yeah, I mean, truly though, if you look at the whole bigger picture with AVN though, that I really want to stress to everyone who's on this week, I'm doing 3 different podcasts. Being straight up nominated means you're part of porn history though.
Right.
That people can look through the history of porn since 1983, and you're going to be in that history 6 times at least just this year. Like you're
Yes.
part of that forever. They can't take that away from you. Like that we've all gotten to be part of this thing that has lasted straight up longer than the Olympics. There's been less Olympics than there have been AVN awards.
I cried when Adam called me to tell me. I didn't even check the AVN nominations list this year because I didn't know it was out. And then Adam Christopher, producer, called me and was like, "Hey, are you sitting down? Because like you should be sitting down for this." I thought he was just going to be like, "Oh, I'm coming to Vegas. Like you want to shoot while I'm there?" Because that's usually why he calls me.
Yeah.
But he called me and was like, "Hey, so I was going through the AVN nominations list and like, did you know you're on there?" And so he starts naming off all the categories. I mean, and I cried. I cried on the phone with him.
But like this shit really matters. Like there's not very many industries that you can have one night that can essentially define your career. If you win, it's going to be, oh, wow, you released this amazing film and it won this award, or you had this really amazing year.
If you win, it means people are still going to be talking about you years down the road.
Yeah, you're going to have that for the rest of your life.
Yeah.
And like, I feel like both aspects you have to appreciate being there, but also the next level and the elevated level of winning, it's just like 2 separate things. Like, just numbers wise, it's about as hard to win as an Olympic medal as it is to win an AVN. There's been less given out. It's very, very difficult. Yeah.
Huh. That's actually kind of insane to think about. One day I want to win one. I don't know if this is going to be the year, but one day I'm hoping.
Yeah. Well, I think getting 6, you're putting yourself in a good position. I mean, that's all you can do.
I got my fingers crossed on this one, but I was more in shock about the best BDSM film than I was about Trans Performer of the Year.
That shit makes me so fucking happy that you got nominated for that.
Yeah,
like I had no idea there was another trans film nominated this year, and that makes me so happy.
Yep, and it's in that category and in most outrageous. So
you're doing the right shit.
We shot a trans nun exorcism threesome. Right?
I fucking love that.
So it's me and Aphrodite Adams, and we go to like exorcise the demons from this cis girl, right? And we get there, and like the demon starts freaking out, and like the shit starts flying around the room, and it's crazy, and the doors are slamming, and the lights are flickering, and Aphrodite's like, "I think we need a priest." And then I whip out my cock and I'm like, "I am a priest." And I think we should win most outrageous just for that line. Just for that line.
Good fucking line. That's so hilarious.
That was like the most brilliant line I've ever written. And just for that line, I think we should win that award.
I can't argue with that. That's too good. So what like do you think made this year so special for you that everything really came together and you've gotten this many nominations? Because it sounds like you've been nominated in the past and probably been nominated for other awards. Yeah, I mean, this is like your big year. Even if you don't win anything, you're hella part of the conversation this year.
Yeah, and that's the crazy thing is that this is also like I've not done much mainstream work this year. You know, like I didn't expect to get anything. And so the fact that I'm not only nominated, but nominated like 6 times, that's just completely insane to me. And I think it's honestly just because of how much of a grind I've been on self-producing. You know, I launched Femtop this year, so I shot like 30 scenes for that and like another 40 scenes for my other vanilla sites. Just self-produced. So I self-produced like 70 hardcore scenes last year.
During like the fucking straight up hardest time to make porn. Like that's so fucking impressive that you're found a way to consistently make this stuff and have it work, you know?
Yeah, you know, I was averaging more than 1 scene a week, and I do all my own editing, all my own marketing and all that stuff.
Oh my
I even make,
God. That
I make
sounds
my own box covers. I write my own scripts, like, so,
wow.
just, I think that's really what it is. It's just, I think having my own site finally is like kind of the thing that's solidified me this year.
It feels like I don't know if I'm projecting on this, but it feels like you finally found like the full everything. Where before, like your performances are this much, but now you have control of the editing, you have control of the visuals around it, you have control of all the creative stuff. It seems
Yeah.
like you really captured what you're supposed to do.
I mean, production wise, I don't feel like, I don't feel like I have much more control. Like I was always self-producing stuff for like my clip stores and all of that, but it's just like having like a brand that I can point to as
Mm,
like, this is my thing, right? This is something that I can do better than almost anyone else in trans porn. And I have a whole site dedicated to it, and I've shot other models for it, and it's this whole thing that I've been producing for and filming, and just having that, I think, is something that has kind of drawn a little more attention to what I do.
that's so awesome and sustainable. I mean, it sounds like even at this
Yeah.
level you're shooting with all the other shit going on, like
Yeah. And,
once stuff sells down, I mean, I can't imagine how much you're gonna really hit your stride.
yeah, I'm really hoping for that. I got new boobs this year too.
Oh, great.
So I found time to do that. So yeah, once things calm down, I'm gonna be like Roxxie 2.0, and I'm so excited for that.
That's so amazing that you're just like finding all this stuff. And I feel like really getting into your stride going into
Yeah.
this really big award show that kind of either way, it sounds like you're really in a place that the next 2 to 3 years, you're going to see a lot of really positive things.
I really hope that's the case. My next big step is to, finally be able to set up my own dedicated studio space. I've been having to rent space out whenever I shoot, or like, you know, redecorate my whole living room. And I just want to have like a dedicated dungeon space for Femtop soon. So that's next on my to-do list.
Yeah, it's so nice just having a room, even in your house, that's just solely for porn shit.
Yeah.
It's just so
I
great.
I own all the equipment to set up my own dungeon. I just live with a roommate. So I can't
Oh,
like set up a dungeon in the living room because my roommate lives here too, and she
yeah.
wants there to be a couch and a TV.
I mean, I can understand
So
as a roommate, I can understand that a little bit.
so that's kind of my next big goal, is just to do that. And I actually am moving into a new place next month. So hopefully
Oh
once I
wow.
do that, I'll be able to finally set everything up. And I'm just so excited for everything that's coming down the line, and all the amazing models I've gotten to work with and that I'm still planning to work with. Plus,
So
I didn't even just push myself as a producer this year. I pushed myself as a performer too. I shot so much stuff that like I never dreamed I'd get the chance to shoot.
I mean, it sounds like
Yeah,
you're really about the medium. Like you actually just genuinely love making BDSM porn.
I
Is
do.
that pretty
And
real?
not even necessarily just BDSM porn. I just like making like hard extreme porn in general. I shot my
Mm.
first gangbang a few weeks ago.
Aw.
And it was all cis lesbians with strap-ons.
Oh my God, that's great. How many
So
people was it?
five, and they
Oh,
were all
nice.
incredible. And I shot. Not only did I shoot my first gangbang, but also my first double anal. First time being fisted on camera. I fisted
Nice.
myself before, but I've never, had someone else fist me. So I just knocked out like all the firsts, and all the crazy BDSM stuff I've gotten to try for FemTop. This
Yeah,
year has just been
what's your
so
take on
cool.
gangbang for the first time? How did you feel going into that?
Nervous,
Yeah, it's
but
very nerve-wracking when you're like on the way to your gangbang and you're like, shit,
the thing I
it's
was
on
nervous
me.
about was not like, am I gonna be able to do this? Because like I'm really good about staying on my anal training, so I know like
Mm,
my ass is gonna be able to handle it. That's not the question. I was
yeah.
just like, oh, is my stomach gonna cooperate?
Oh,
Like it's kind of gross, but like that was the thing that was in the back of my mind. It's like, there's always like that 2% chance that like something goes wrong and something happens.
But like, I don't know. I think that's a good thing about extreme porn sometimes. Like if you vomit, it's part
Yeah.
of it. It's okay. Like,
Yeah, it was just like I do so much fasting for that stuff when I'm shooting
yeah.
like extreme anal.
Yeah, I
So
do.
I
I have
hadn't
this
eaten.
like, do you ever what I always do is I drink all the clear Gatorade. Have you
I
ever
have
done
not
that?
tried that. I have tried the gummy bear trick, and that like kind of works for me. But usually, I just try to like live on fruits and gummy bears and not eat much if I
Oh,
can.
yeah. What I do is I just drink a bunch of clear Gatorade because I had another shoot that I was still pretty early in the industry. It was maybe a year in. It was this BDSM scene. I was getting face fucked in the kitchen, and I drank like, do you know those bright green Gatorades?
Ooh,
So it was like my two best friends were the videographers for it, Courtney Trouble and Asia Porn, who now works for Crash Pad Series, and they were shooting it. So I'm like, okay, this is gonna be great. So the guy was fucking my throat. Jade Phillips is the performer's name. And they were like using the sprayer thing from the kitchen to spray me when I was sucking their dick, but I started vomiting and it was like all bright green. So everyone on set's like freaking out because they thought it was like bile or something crazy.
no.
So after that, I'm like, oh, I can just drink clear Gatorade.
I have never thrown up on set. And
Oh, really?
yep,
I guess you
really.
are a top though.
Mostly a top. I do bottom. I just haven't done much of it recently.
I'm like, most scenes, I'm like, if I'm not crying or vomiting, I'm usually not performing.
Yeah, no, I typically am topping. I'm trying to bottom more though. I owe it to the fans, owe it to the people.
Yeah, I mean, just that there's more like trans BDSM existing is just such a great thing. So when I
Yeah.
started, there was no other person making really anything other than like very cis-centric. That's like, okay, you're gonna top a cis man, and this is gonna be the scene. You need to trick them into believing that you're something else. I'm just like,
Oh, that script.
no,
I've
I
shot
don't
that
want
script
that.
before. I don't
Yeah,
like it.
yeah, I'm very happy being a sub that I've never been put in that role. So I guess
I
that's the positive thing.
I've shot like two boy girl scenes in the last year. I've gotten to a point where I basically just, and I've told male talent that have hit me up this recently. I only shoot with male talent if it's paid work at this point.
Same. Yeah.
Like I like shooting with male talent. It's just like, why would I shoot with someone that's not going to like draw more eyes to what I'm doing? You know,
Yeah, I feel that.
I want to shoot with models that are going to like gravitate toward what I'm doing. And so I try to shoot mostly
And
with
your
cis
stuff
girls.
is very gay.
Yes, it is.
Like it's very lesbian.
Right. And so if I put straight porn in my clip stores, no one's going to buy it. But if I put it on, you know, Evil Angel or whatever, someone's going to buy it.
Mm.
Right. Then people are going to be into it because that's what they're there to see. That's not what my clip store fans are there to see.
Yeah, they're there to see like the DIY queer underground weird
Yeah.
stuff,
Yeah.
which you should keep making more of. Like
Oh
I
yeah.
truly believe like the kind of porn that trans women are making right now that's like all about queer stuff and lesbian stuff and BDSM. Like there's gonna be a day where critics don't give a fuck, and I hope everyone keeps making it because I think it's just so important to our community
I've
that
got
people
so
can look
much
up
stuff
trans
I want to
porn.
shoot. I've got so much stuff that I'm like, you know, what I'm so excited to shoot it this year once the opportunity comes up. I got a fursuit finally last year, and
Oh, you're furry
I,
person.
I've only shot one scene with it so far, and I've had it for like almost a year now. I'm like, I want to make more of that. I want to get really weird. Like, how weird can we go? Let's do
See,
this.
that's like the furry shit. I just don't fully I don't fully get it. Like I've done so many like crazy weird taboo fetishes. Like,
So up until about 2 years ago, I never thought I would own a fursuit. I always told myself, you know, I'm never gonna own a fursuit. You know, you get into furry because for one of two reasons. Either you find furry porn on DeviantArt and you think, wow, this is kind of hot, or you do what I did and you just like watch a lot of anime or like old Disney
oh, that's where
movies
it
and
got
you're
you.
like, and you're like, oh, I kind of like these characters. And then you realize there's a whole community of people that like those characters. And so just like any other kind of nerd culture, you slowly get into it through that. And the furry fandom has always just been so welcoming to me as a trans person and as a porn person. So over time, I just
That's really
grew to
great.
love them.
I can get that sense of community.
Yeah, and now I have a
Yeah.
fursuit.
Aw. I have this really weird furry fact. I don't know much about the furry community, but I was listening to another podcast. Weirdly, it's a college football podcast, but it came up somehow. You know, Tony the Tiger no longer has a Twitter because furries were demanding to see his feet. You do know about this?
I know about this. I know about all the furries making jokes about Daddy Tony on Twitter.
I mean,
I know about this.
It makes sense though. It does. Like if you're gonna fuck a cartoon tiger.
When the World Cup was in Moscow a couple of years ago, I was actually there for it.
Oh wow.
And the mascot for the World Cup was a furry. It's a little dog named Zabi Vaca.
Oh yeah, so I think I remember it.
I bought a little Zabi Vaca figure and a mug. I love just furry in unexpected places. That's like my favorite trope.
Yeah, I mean, I guess that enters the conversation that I've had at many sporting events. Are mascots furries, or are all are all furries into mascots, and are all mascots furries?
I feel like to some furries, they probably look at mascot costumes as like amateur shit. Like,
but how dare you call Grady an amateur? Like, look at the man.
But I don't know, like I always liked mascot costumes, even when I was in even when I was a kid, I'd always get so hyped for like my high school mascot. And
what was your mascot?
I don't want to talk about my high school, but my college mascot was we were the Owls. We were the Kennesaw State Owls.
Ooh,
and so we had a mascot named Scrappy the Owl, and he was just this owl that was like black with gold feathers, and he was so cool. And just watching him like dance around was always so hype. He marched with us in the Pride Parade one year in Atlanta Pride, and just I love Scrappy. He's so good.
That's a good name for a mascot. I do have to
say. Right. And there's an actual Scrappy the Owl now too, apparently.
I really like. There's one. Do you know the University of Syracuse?
I've heard of them. I don't follow enough college sports to know what their mascot is. So it's just a
giant like orange dot that is alive. I love it. It's just the most bizarre thing because they're just the orange. So it's just like an orange ball. It's not an orange. It's just an orange ball.
In Japan, it's like a thing that a lot of companies or like towns have their own mascots. And there's one that I really like. He's the mascot of like an apple orchard in some little province of Japan. And he's an apple that was possessed by the spirit of a cat. So he has like cat ears and he plays heavy metal on the drums. And so his whole thing is like, he shows up to like various events and just like plays fucking blast beats in a mascot costume. Badass. It's so cool.
Have you had a chance to go to Japan and do like their whole BDSM thing over there?
No, I have never shot porn outside the country.
Oh, really?
I was in Moscow for college. I studied abroad there.
Oh, wow. How was that? Were you like out as gay and stuff at the time, or?
I was like a year into transition.
Holy shit.
I had to try to back pass the whole time I was there, but I had B-cup tits.
Oh my God, that sounds so scary.
So the thing about Russia is that there's a huge disconnect between the politics of the elites in Russia and the everyday people. Like, the government and the top brass of Russia, they hate Americans, they don't like gay people, whatever. But the everyday people, they don't actually have a problem with it, from what I could tell. Like, they didn't care. Or at least if they did care, they were polite enough to not say anything. So I did not get harassed a single time in the 6 weeks I was in Moscow.
Oh,
And
that's really
maybe
good.
if I was in a smaller city, I would have, but I feel like Moscow is such an international city at this point that like they're not going to try and start anything while every sports reporter on the planet is in the
Oh,
city,
yeah, that's
you
very
know?
true. Yeah, I one of my partners got detained in the Moscow airport before for having a photo from a pride event in their bag, and they got detained I think for like a few hours.
They briefly were concerned because my visa photo and my ID did not look like the same person.
Oh,
Um, but they figured it out and then apologized profusely and let me through.
well,
So
that's
they were
good.
nice while I was there.
Yeah, I've
Maybe other people have had worse experiences, but they were nice to me while I was there, and that made me happy.
That's really good. Yeah, I've just Eastern Europe as a whole. Anything like east of Berlin, I'm just like, I don't know.
I don't know. I had good experiences there, and it was a good time. Um,
Yeah, I hear it's
and
huge. I hear it's like the size of New York.
dude, Moscow's crazy. Like it's so huge, it's so massive, and it's a very like kind of stratified city too. So like there's a huge divide between like the nice areas of Moscow and everywhere else. And being there for college, we didn't stay in the nice areas.
So you saw a little bit of the other side of Moscow.
Yeah, yeah. And we saw the nice stuff too. I mean, we went to some viewing parties and stuff, but it was fun. I'm sad I was there for college because it means I didn't get to go to any of the gay clubs. I really wanted to be able to say I went to a gay club in Russia,
That would have been so cool.
but my professors were like, "No, you were not going to a gay club in Moscow. We refuse to greenlight this."
Oh my god, that's so intense. Yeah, I've had some fans who like bought stuff from me in Moscow, and I'm just like, how are you doing this right now? It just feels so intense to me that being in a place where like being gay or like promoting being gay is a crime, it's just so wild that there's just people who are openly queer there and buying porn and just kind of going
Yeah,
about their lives.
yeah, it's crazy that like they can just have gay clubs there and like just live. And I don't know, like that's a level of brave that I don't think I have.
Yeah,
I
I
did it
mean,
for a month, and I feel like any longer I would have been pushing it.
I feel like Russians are just fucking hard people. Gays there are hard. Everyone there is just like
Yeah.
very like, okay, we will go. If we get arrested, okay. Like,
Okay, it happens.
yeah, right. It's just like that's not an attitude we have, I feel like, in Western Europe or in the United States, where it's like, oh no, something bad's gonna go wrong.
Yeah, I don't know. I had a good time though.
So I have two more questions for you before we wrap it up because you've given me so much of your time. Um, so what do you think about your chances are for this next week? Like when
Uh,
you're like just in your head alone at night, are you like, oh my God, I need to write something down in case I win? I need to do something.
I'm like 80% sure that I have no chance. I've had people tell me they think I have a chance. I don't think I have a chance. Because I know what my previous experiences with the mainstream side of the industry have been, and generally speaking, they like don't want to acknowledge me any more than they have to. But I've got my fingers crossed that like maybe it could happen.
So do you have a speech or are you considering writing a speech?
No.
You should. You should.
Do you
Because the
think
off
I should?
chance I didn't at the last award show I went to when I won. So I just went up on stage and I screamed, "This is for the girls and the gays," and ran off stage.
There's not even an
So,
award show this year.
but
Like,
you need something. Wait, if you win though, they'll try to call you. There's like a video call thing that happens.
yeah, but if they don't have my Zoom name,
I mean, I guess I'm not trying to be conspiratorial right now, but at what point do you realize you don't win an award because they didn't get your Zoom info? If everyone who
exactly.
like that's a little
That's
bit.
why I'm like,
I mean, it
ah.
is only Monday though. So if they send you an info, you're coming back on the podcast and releasing that you won before the award.
I'm not leaking anything.
You're
I
leaking.
feel
I
like that'd
mean,
get
it's
me in some
fine.
trouble.
It will just be between all the listeners here. But yeah, I think you should write something, even if you win a small one. And also, if you win the BDSM one, I think that means cis people can't do BDSM anymore. It's just trans people. So
I mean, if I win the BDSM one, then everyone has to like fucking bow down to me forever. So that would make me very happy.
no, I
But
think we should just kick all the cis people out of BDSM, be like
just
50
like
Shades of Grey.
make that trans category too. Just
Yeah,
like
only trans people can be up for this. No more
yeah.
cis BDSM, not one of them. I think that's only fair.
You know, they had
So,
like trans performer of the year, and I think this year they added like a non-binary performer of the
oh,
year
did
category.
they?
They called it like thespian of the year or something, which is open
Oh,
to all genders. So there's like
oh,
straight and non-binary and
oh,
trans.
like, yeah, I saw AVN did, I mean, no, XBiz did it last year. Dante Cole won. It was
Yes,
like the
they
all-around performer, which I think is a really cool idea because I do think that having all the performers of the year having one giant one, I think that's kind of cool.
but they're gonna have trans performer of the year, and then that, and then like trans performer of the year too, right? Like that's what it's
Yeah.
gonna be, and I'm gonna be all about it.
Yeah, I mean, there's also like the best new trans performer, which I think so cool because like
We've
I
never
think
had that category
never
somehow.
before. Also, like just how far it's come. Like I think my first AVN was the third year that they actually let the trans women go on stage. So before that, like all these trans women that predated me in this industry that I don't even think I was around for had to fight AVN to even get on the stage. So it's just like come so far so fast.
I almost got kicked out of AVN the one year I went.
What happened? I mean, my last question was, you want to share your craziest AVN experience? And I think that could be it. What happened?
So I've had crazier non-AVN experiences, but this is probably my craziest AVN experience. So when I showed
Let's
up
hear it.
for Cam Girl Carpet
What year?
this was 2020 because it was the last year before COVID.
What's the cam girl carpet?
So at AVN they have the normal red carpet, and then they have
That
an
loops
earlier
around, right?
right, and then they have an earlier red carpet that's shorter and that walks like 2 hours before the main carpet. And
Really?
that's where they
Like
put
what
all
time?
the cam girls and like amateur performers.
Like
And
what time?
it marches at like 3 or 4 p.m. Like it's
Oh,
super early.
okay.
So they literally don't even, if you're not in one of the main categories, they don't even put you on the main carpet anymore. They just put you in the cam girl carpet.
Weird.
Um,
Wait, that's interesting. I didn't ever knew that. So like, are there even fans there? Like at the time, barely.
no, there's like
Oh,
a few reporters. I think I got one photo out of it.
oh shit.
Yeah, and
That
that was all I got.
is that your only AVN red carpet experience?
Yep, that's the only one I got. And
I
so
feel like we need to send you like red carpet for your apartment and be like, put on your nicest dress and we can get a strobe light so you can get the same effect.
but yeah, so I get there for that, right? And I'm like trying to find my way there because it's a massive casino.
It's
And I
so
don't know where
stressful.
anything
There's
is.
girls having like anxiety attacks and shit around.
Right. And so I'm there, I'm in my dress, and this huge security guard comes over and like stops me and is like, "Hey, you can't be here." And I'm like, "What do you mean?" They're like, "Your dress, I can see your nipples." My dress was solid
Oh, yeah,
black.
that's a thing.
It was solid black with an opaque like skin tone layer under it, but they could see the outline of my piercings through the dress. They could see like the
Oh,
shape of my piercings, because it was a tight
mhm.
dress, right? And they were like, "You can't have that. That's against the rules." So I'm like, well, what do you want me to do? And they're like, "You can't have that. You're gonna get arrested. Like, we could call the police right now and have you arrested." I'm like, "Okay, so like,
What?
what do you want me to do?" And they're like, "You need to put pasties on." I'm like, "I don't have pasties. Do you have pasties?" They're like, "You need to put pasties on or we're gonna call the police." I'm like,
Wait,
"Do
really?
you?"
The security at Hard Rock?
The security at Hard Rock threatened to call the police
What
on
the
me for
fuck?
being able to see the shape of my nipple piercings through my dress. And so I keep asking, like, "Look, you keep saying I need pasties. I don't have them. Do you have them? Do you know where I can get them? Like, whatever." So finally she opens her bag and like pulls out a stack of pasties and like size, like Here you go. I'm
AVN's
like,
so it's such a bizarre world because all this like really weird stuff that feels like you're just experiencing alone wherever you live is all so normal. They're like, oh yeah, we have every size pasty. What size pasty are you?
so I get the pasties, right? And I'm like, okay. So I walk off and I'm like trying to find the bathroom, but I found the lineup for the carpet before I could find a bathroom
Mhm.
because I don't know where anything is at the Hard Rock. Who
Yeah.
who knows where things are at any of these casinos?
Did you have like a team with you at least helping you, or were you all alone?
I was all alone. I was going to meet people. I was
Oh,
supposed to meet people at lineup. So I get to lineup, right? And then I realize the security guard has followed me from one end of the casino to the other. And she pulls me out of the line and says, you need to put those pasties on. I'm like, where's a bathroom? I don't know where there's a bathroom. So she points me to the men's room.
what the fuck?
She points me to the men's room. And as I'm going in there, one of the guys, one of the like, I think photographers or whatever outside is like, ma'am, you're going in the wrong bathroom. Like, that's the men's room,
Yeah.
whatever. And the security guard's like, she's doing exactly what she's supposed to be doing.
What the fuck?
So the security at the Hard Rock sent me to the men's room to put pasties on. And the whole time I'm just thinking, like, if I'm a guy, why do I need pasties? Like, do I have boy nipples or girl nipples?
Fuck?
And so by the time I get back to lineup, my friends have already walked. And so I had to walk by myself.
Oh my
What I
god,
ended
I'm
up doing
so
was just
fucking sorry you went
what I
through that.
ended
That's
up
fucking
doing was just
horrific.
like waiting until a few other people I knew got there because they were walking later, and I walked with them. But I was like, by that point, I was just like trying to, get on the carpet as best I could. Like I was just like, just do it. It's stupid. Just do what they say. Don't get kicked out. The award show's in like 3 hours. It's fine.
I'm like, I almost fucking want to cry for what the fuck? That like this is like the day that you've worked so hard for to get to. That's showing all your accomplishment that you're getting misgendered by people there and that shit. I'm so fucking sorry you went through that. That's
So,
so fucked up.
and that's why I'm so sad there's no award show this year because maybe I would have actually gotten to be on the main carpet this time.
I want to hug you so bad right now. Girl, you deserve to. I want you to win so bad now. I'm 110% in on you. Please win the BDSM category. Let's get all this as people out of BDSM
I
porn. It's
got
just
too
gonna be
many friends in
ours.
that category. I don't think I deserve it.
I think you do.
The problem is I
Because
know all the
look at your
BDSM
story.
producers now. I'm like,
Look
I
at
want them to win.
look at your storyline that I started this whole thing with. You moved all the way from Tennessee. I mean,
Georgia.
Georgia. I'm sorry. I was literally thinking Georgia in my head as I said Tennessee.
There are some trans performers from Tennessee that are really fucking awesome, though. I'll say that.
Yeah. I'm down that there's like this whole southern thing going on in porn. I'm interviewing someone from Kentucky tomorrow who's
Oh,
also
hell yeah.
nominated. So I'm just like,
Yeah.
it's so cool when all this like regional stuff happens. So
Dude, the
everyone just thinks
Southern
about porn that's Vegas or LA and that's it.
the Southern gay scene is so cool. And I feel like I almost took it for granted when I lived there. Like Atlanta has such an awesome fucking gay scene, and Vegas just doesn't really have it. Like
Yeah.
Vegas is a fairly small city. There's not a lot of gay bars. I lived in a city that had a lesbian bar, that had a dedicated lesbian nightclub. Do you know
Same.
how few cities in the US
Not very
actually have a
many.
lesbian nightclub? And
San
I
Francisco doesn't.
and I feel like I didn't take advantage of it. Like I went like 4 times.
Yeah. I mean, but that's what going back home is for. And then you can really be like, oh my God, this is the
Once
lesbian bar I go to.
once COVID chills a little bit.
Same. I haven't been home in like 3 years. It's just such a wild thing to go through this whole pandemic. And
I went
just,
home for a convention and that's it. And I literally just went to the convention and nothing else.
but I'm so sorry you went through all that shit, Avian. That's so unfair. And like, honestly, maybe I was just naive. I was like, oh, AVN, like that shit doesn't really happen anymore. Like I
Um,
remember hearing like maybe 5 years ago that
I don't
some
want
trans
people
women were kicked out.
I don't want to. I don't want people to think I have anything against AVN. Everyone
No,
else I
it's not
met
even
at
AVN.
AVN,
It's straight up the Hard Rock security, and Hard Rock
yeah,
doesn't exist anymore. So
everyone else I met at AVN was awesome. The staff made me feel super welcome.
mhm.
Like I had a great time at AVN. Um, and so I don't want people to think. I made a post about this when it happened, and a bunch of people started like adding AVN in the replies, and I actually deleted the post because I'm like, I don't want beef with AVN over this. Like it's whatever. It's not the end of the world, and it's not even really their fault.
Yeah. But I think it is also good that these award shows know what's happening to performers at these events, and so they can try to make it more accessible at the same time. So, final question. Let's say Saturday night, it's midnight right now. Award show's ending. You won 6 awards. What are you gonna fucking do?
Uh, Cry a lot. Call my mom and say I told you so, and then I don't know. Watch some anime probably
Okay. So
and
like the
cry.
Megan the Stallion kind of way.
I
That sounds very Megan the Stallion.
if this were me 2 years ago, I would say I'm gonna go to my sister's room in Atlanta and I'm gonna get fucking smashed and do like 7 shots of fucking like vodka mixed with whatever whiskey and destroy my brain
Vodka
cells.
mixed with whiskey. Fucking damn.
I was trying to think of like what's 2 things I can mix that don't sound like they would mix in my brain that would like make for a brutal shot. I don't know. I'm gonna do a bunch of Four Horsemen's or whatever. But I quit drinking, so I can't do that.
Oh,
So I gotta just stay
that's
home.
the way to be.
You know, yeah. I drank at one porn convention. I'm never doing it again. So
The last award show I went to, I was drinking whiskey to start. So I'm like, oh, okay. I'll have a few whiskey. That's fine. It's an open bar. It's gonna be great. And then when I won, I switched to champagne. But in my head, I'm like, it's celebration champagne. It can't hurt me. Turns out it really does hurt you. You can't change throughout the night.
yeah, I went to. I drank at one convention and I drank for one night. And the next morning I was super hungover. And that is the only scene I've ever shot where I had like real wood problems.
Oh, that makes
And
sense.
so
Dehydration, probably.
yeah, so I'm like, never doing that again. Nope, not happening. I overestimated myself. I was 23. I thought like, oh, I can drink and still get hard in the no. And that scene got nominated for 2 TEAs. Somehow, I don't know how. It didn't deserve it. I was barely hard for most of it. But
I mean, I guess that's the good thing about some minor award shows that you're like, oh, I didn't even like that scene, but that's cool.
yeah. Yeah. So, it ended up being fine, but I'm not I don't drink anymore.
Well,
just period. But even before I quit drinking at award shows.
well, here's hoping that you have a night full of anime and crying and just kind of you taunting your mom, being like, see, I told you I could do it. But thank you so much for coming on the pod. I really wish you the best luck this weekend. Like, it was so great to talk to you, and I love what you're coming from, and definitely will keep eyes on you, and hopefully we can get you to win some awards and you to come back on and talk about it.
Yeah, I hope so. Thank you so much for having me.
Awesome. Well, do you want to tell everyone where they can find you on social media?
You can find me on Twitter at Roxxie Moth. That's Roxxie with 2 X's and an IE. You can also find me at femtop.xxx. That's my BDSM site. Or at roxymoth.church, where you can buy my vanilla porn.
Awesome. Well, bye, everyone. See you tomorrow for day 2 of AVN.